All right, welcome back. Long Beach, the LBC, a street track, lots of fun. If you are new to this track, it is going to take a while to learn. Very easy to spin out here. The walls obviously are not forgiving, so it is going to take some practice. You are not going to get into a practice session before the race and learn this track and be any good at it. You are going to crash and die. So put in some practice laps here. You're going to need it. This will hopefully help you out though, shorten that practice time down before you start getting really quick. There are a lot of curbs on this track. Some are disruptive, you do not want to be going over. Some are not so disruptive and you do want to go over. And the ride height represents that. It is up a little bit higher, 29 mils in the front. That's just to help get over some of those curbs. ARB is 0. Understeer here. Actually, it isn't a bad thing. It's very easy to spin out the car here, but you do have to rotate the car here to get around quickly. So no ARB in the front. Damper compression 18 in the front. Again, some of those curbs you're going over. Suspension is softened up a little bit. Brake bias 57%. You know my channel. I typically have a higher brake bias than most of you. However, watch out, it is pretty easy to lock up here. So watch your brake bias. If you're locking up too easy, there's very hard braking sections here. So just increase that brake bias if you're locking them up too easy. Uh, ride or Spring rates, low as they go, front and back. Low as they go, you need lots of grip here. Camber, look at these cambers, they are cranked up. You know my channel, it is not usually symmetrical. 2.3 on the left, 2 on the right. Go with the higher values if you want to keep them symmetrical. However, that being said, I don't know if everything is going to be in compliance if you do have them both at 2.3, so just look out for that. That may cause a failure. If it does, you may just have to lower them a little bit. Toe in 1.5 on each side, that's always symmetrical. You need lots of turn in here, and you also need to get better braking efficiency, and you also need to get those tires warmed up. Cold tires here are a big thing. You are going to be quite a bit slower for the first couple of laps until the tires get warm, so that is helping get those tire temps up. Spring rates again low as they go in the rear. Camber, look at all this good yellow. 1.5. I would actually probably like a little bit more, but 1.5 is all iRacing is going to let me have. 1.5 on the left and the right, and toe in the rear, 0.3. Again, that's more or less to help with tire temps and braking efficiency. Again, very hard braking zones here, and you do have to get those. You do have to have the brakes working real hard. Ride height 40 in the rear. That's producing a lot more rake than what I usually have, and again, that's to help rotate the car without turning the ARB up any more than what it is, because it is a 10, so it is not turned up very high. Again, very easy to lose it around corners here. There's a lot of slightly off camber corners and some downhill sections and things. So having the ARB turned up is going to make that back end very loose. So the rake is turned up just to give it a little extra rotation. Damper compression, again, just a little bit softened up, 4 on the compression and 16 on the rebound. Again, that's just for going over some of those curbs to allow you to get over them without sending your car flying. 13 liters, that should be plenty to get you around the track. 14 if you want to be safe. However, I did try 14. 14 will fail the setup. You will have to lower the cambers if you put in 14 liters, so just watch out for that. That also being said, I had some questions on the last guide. Because these cambers are quite the cambers are disappearing because these cambers are turned up quite a bit, especially in the rear. If when you reduce your fuel to quality fuel, that will cause the setup to probably fail, because when you lower the fuel, the car is going to sit lower, and that is going to increase the camber's values. So what you have to do is just reset the camber value to 1.5. It's going to jump up to 1.6, I think, once you put in quali fuel. So just click it down to 1.5. But the big secret is don't just add the fuel back in when it comes to the race, because the cambers you will have adjusted and they will readjust themselves when you add the fuel back in. So have this setup saved, lower the fuel for quali, lower the cambers for quali to make them compliant and pass, and then just when you're done your quali lap, when it comes to the race, just reload the setup. That's what I do. That's the easiest way to do it. You don't want to be messing around in the garage trying to adjust cambers and stuff like that in between quali and the race, otherwise you may run out of time. Gear stack, here is a big thing. I believe iRacing has it set at tall. I am using standard. I put in many laps, as you'll see, and just consistently standard was faster. Not tremendously faster, but it was. I was probably 2/10 faster with standard over tall. It just, you accelerate out of the corners faster, and only on the main straight do you reach the rev limit. So standard is what I'm going with. I could be a fool. You guys let me know if I am, when it comes to a race, whether that is going to cost you too much in the straight. So track is 53. Track temps are very high. Last time around here was the old Ray suspension, and the track I think was around 20 degrees, so it was way faster. I think this is a competitive time. I certainly couldn't put a whole lot more into it than I did, so this should be an alright time, but watch that track temp. It was up to, I think, 58 degrees, and it is a lot more slippery when it is up to 58 degrees, so watch out for that. Alright, so we'll get into the guide in slow-mo and then run it out at full speed. So fourth gear, you can see I am at the rev limit. However, we're looking for the 400 board here as the braking marker. Don't get too far over to the right. There is a slowdown. I believe if your right-hand tire crosses the blue line, I think, is where you get the slowdown, so watch out for that. So just before the 400 board, you can brake later, but you are going to be compromised on exit. But if you're battling for this corner, you can use the end of this white line as a braking marker. Excuse me. You can still make the corner if you brake that late, but again, you're going to be compromised on exit. So braking real hard, and not stomping on the brakes. I find if you stomp on the brakes, it is easy to lock up here, and once you lock up, you are in big trouble. So applying the brakes, ever increasing, shifting down into first, turning in basically at the white line crossing the track here. Turning in, picking up the throttle a little bit just to get some weight onto the back end, and getting onto the curb here. You don't want to be up top here. That is going to be a disaster, and I think you even get a slowdown, but don't worry about it because you'll probably crash. So getting on that curb, picking up the throttle nice and early, and you just have to let the wheel unwind and get as close to the wall as possible, and that is the thing for pretty much every corner on this track. So hugging the wall here up into second, and basically at the Firestone signs here, you're turning to the left, and once you get the wheel straight, there's not really a good marker, but once you get the wheel straight, getting on the brakes, shifting down into first, again very hard on the brakes. You do not want to come in here too hot, and getting onto the curbs, and you can even snatch just a little bit of the pavement here, but don't get up top by the plants. That is going to be a disaster. And picking up the throttle nice and early, unwinding the wheel, and the closer you get to the wall, the better. So Keep it real tight up against that wall. Work your way up into second gear. For the faithful who are using a stick, you may want to leave it in first. I like to go up into second gear because it just, downshifting is just naturally gets the car set up for this next corner just right. So at the end of the black sign or black barrier here, shifting down into first, no brakes, maybe a touch of brakes on cold tires, and then yeah, just a downshift, letting the car roll in, picking up the throttle nice and early, again getting onto the curbs here but not over top of them, and then just unwinding the wheel, getting up real close to that wall. So very important for this one, up into second gear, this red line. You want to have your wheel on this red line or even just a little over it, as close to the wall as you possibly can. If your wheel is on the right hand side of this red line, it is surprising how much time you are going to lose. It also is going to make the corner entry more narrow, and it is going to make it easier to spin out, so really watch out for that. You want to be really uptight against the wall, and what you're looking for is the pavement, the discoloration in the barriers here. About four, if you can imagine, about 4 advertising signs away from where they start. But yeah, right where this discoloration is, hopefully you all see that on your view. So in second, a little bit of brake, not a huge amount of brake, just to load up the front end, get the car slowed a bit, and then basically you're looking for the curb out here. You want your right hand tire to be on the pavement of that, just right of that curb on exit, and just a little bit of throttle. Well, yeah, a little bit of throttle just to get that back end loaded up. If you are on the brakes and you're turning there, you are going to spin out and die. If you come out, if you didn't catch the apex here, if you're over here, you're going to have to lift and really watch out about smashing into the walls. If you get all 4 tires onto these, there is a slowdown if you're really cutting the corner. Also, if you get all 4 tires on these curbs, it can launch your car a bit, so watch out for that. And then yeah, just picking up the throttle, don't stomp on it. Picking up the throttle just nice and evenly. You can spin out. That is a downhill angled corner, so watch out. And then just right up tight against the wall. So coming into the next one in third gear, holding it in third gear. You might be in fourth gear if you are drafting off someone, so just watch out for that. Looking for the 2 board, and just before the 2 board, getting on the brakes real hard. Again, you can brake later, but you will be compromised on exit. Very hard on the brakes, down into first gear, and then rolling. Oh, leaving it in second gear, that's right. Leaving it in second gear, first gear if you're on a tall stack. I turned in here just a little bit early, but you want to be right up tight against the wall, tight as you can, picking up the throttle nice and early, and then letting the car just run out, straighten the wheel. I came out here a little wide because I turned in just a little early. Normally I like to be about mid-track through this yellow lines here. It just, I find the further right you end up, the more you're extending the track, and you just don't get that speed back or time back if you extend the track too much. And then just work your way over to the left. Again, looking for the 2 board in third gear, just before the 2 board, getting on the brakes real hard, turning in just about the one board. Do not be cranking the wheel here too hard, especially if you are on the brakes. This again is kind of downhill. It is easy to lose the back end. The track has been updated. These curbs used to come out here more. They are gone now, so you can cut this corner now quite a bit. You don't get an X for this. And then just releasing the throttle, or releasing the brake, picking up the throttle nice and early and as close as you dare get to this wall. The closer the better, without taking a wheel off. If you come in here wide, sign here is going to clip your left-hand tire and bust it right off your car, so watch out for that. And then just picking up the throttle nice and early. This is a second biggest straight on the track, so you got to get on the throttle nice and early. If you are not on the throttle nice and early, you are going to lose a tremendous amount of time through here. 2, 3, 4 tenths, 5, 6 tenths easily. So do practice that corner. Very important to get a good lap time. Big passing opportunity here, of course. And then you're looking for the 3 board between the 4 and the 3, about 350. Getting on the brakes, hard on the brakes, down into second. Again, you could brake later, but you're going to be battling for this corner. You will be compromised on exit. So around the 100 board, turning in and getting onto the curbs, the red and white curbs, but not onto these guys. These guys are going to send your car flying into the wall. So do not get on those ones. And then just picking up the throttle nice and early and unwinding the wheel. Use most of the track here on exit, and then holding it in second gear and just a bit of blast of throttle for a short time here. Once you're under the bridge, releasing the throttle a bit. I probably released it a little bit more than I needed to there, and getting onto the curb. My tire is just kind of grazing these guys, and that actually is not going to cost you too much. And then just managing the throttle as you come around this bend. You don't want to be stomping on it. You don't want to be spinning the tires or sliding wide. If you were sliding wide, you were going slow, and you are going to compromise yourself for this corner, which is a very, very tricky, deadly corner. I'll show you how I do it, but it is just going to take some practice to get some feel for this one. This is one of the nastiest corners in racing, I think, period. So as soon as you come around the bend here, so you're looking for, as the curbs kind of hit this straight line, that's where you want to downshift. Down into first, get your car over to the right. You don't want to have your left wheel like right up to the edge fully on top of these red and white bumps, but you do want to have your tire kind of grazing the left hand edge of them, or the right hand edge of the curbs, the left edge of your tire. And then just applying the brake, not as hard on the brake as you think. Let the car roll in, and just releasing the brake as you come around the bend here. You do not want to be braking hard. That is not going to work. And then getting right up tight against that barrier and unwinding the wheel and picking up the throttle nice and early. Very early. This is the big straight. You need to get a good run on this to go fast. So as you come around the bend here, picking up the throttle, and just use all of the track on exit, unwind the wheel, and that will get you around there pretty quick. And if you get that corner right, you will save a lot of time. If you get that corner wrong on your quali lap, it's not the end of the world. It is a big straight. You can get that speed back up for your second lap. And one thing to watch out for, obviously you want to be on the right hand side, but don't get real tight against the right hand side. The curb or the pavement there is uneven. It can actually grab your car at some spots and want to pull you into the wall. So just keep in this right hand lane, and that's not going to cost you anything if you're not right up against the wall. So watch out for that. You don't want it to grab you and get some car damage. So 126.9, I think that should be pretty competitive. I hope it is, because I don't think I can do a whole heck of a lot better than that. So I'll run this out at full speed. Good luck out there. Stay safe. This is a lot of fun. It is frustrating to learn, but once you get it, it is addictive. Nailing those corners feels really good on this track. So good luck. We'll see you next time.